Okay, I'm going to start.
Kejap, yeah, let me share my screen first. I don't have the, only meeting organizers and presenters can share.
Okay, so
Can you just make me a presenter?
hold on.
Oh goodness, today is the tak pernah macam ni. Okay, I think I can.
I think I have set you as a presenter.
Kejap,
All right,
yeah.
everyone. While waiting for Prof. Kala to settle some presentations, because she finally can get in here. So let's take a, we can give about 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, then we can start. All right.
Okay, let me just share first. Can you see my screen, Dr. Mazwana?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. Kejap eh. Okay, now?
Yes. Okay.
Can you? Okay, so can I start then?
Okay, so let me brief the
Surely.
attendees.
Yeah.
Okay, so together with us is Professor Dr. Kalawati Ramasamy. So she's from Faculty of Pharmacy and very well known in prebiotics, probiotics, and some more. So without further ado, so I would like to invite Prof. Kala for her presentation today on how to get published in a high impact journal. So without further ado, over to you, Prof.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mazwana, and a very good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry. I sincerely apologize, for the delay. I have never experienced this, but anyway, it's a very good experience. But don't do this, yeah? I should have gone a bit earlier. I'm not sure what happened today, really. I've used Microsoft Teams often, but I really don't understand what happened. But never mind. I'll go through with you very quickly. But Dr. Mazwana, before I go on, just wondering how many postgraduate students are online, roughly, so that I can gauge.
119 attendees.
Okay, that's great. And thank you very much to the organizers, that's IPSIS. I mean, I've always been with IPSIS, okay, for inviting me. So, well, to the postgraduate students, what I'm going to share with you is really my journey, not only as a supervisor, but the whole process of writing. And what's very important, I know, you've missed about 30 minutes, and but for the next, I would say 1.5 hours to 2 hours, just focus on what I'm going to share, because some things, you really have to experience it, you see, or else I took very many years to actually learn this. So I really hope that just focus on what I am going to share, and I'll give you about half an hour to sort of have the Q&A session. And I'll divide it. I mean, let's see how it goes. I will have a break after original articles. And if you want, I can share how to write review articles very quickly. Okay. So I'll go on straight to how to get published in high impact journals. Now, what I'm going to take you through today is basically our experience, which is important, habits of highly effective researchers, because if you don't understand what needs to be done, the writing part will not come easy, because you have to be disciplined. So number one is very important before you get on to writing itself. Part two will be practical tips before you write. I mean, like where to submit, because sometimes you know how to write, but you don't know where to submit. So that's equally important. I'll quickly go through with you type of manuscripts, and this is where I say there's one on original articles and also review. Okay, so let's see the timing. I missed a bit of time there. The review and editorial process very quickly, and author ethics. Now, I wish that you could interact. I always enjoy interacting, when I share anything, but in this case, I can't. But what you can see is basically, a journey that is not easy. Yeah, you can see very curvy lanes. And what it tells you is that, you know, it's a very challenging path. Okay, so that's how, you know, a lot of people will think PhD or perceive, you know, postgraduate studies is, you know, they feel that, oh, it's very challenging, it's very difficult. Okay, sometimes you just feel so lonely, you just feel like, you know, you are in this forest, you know, with all these monsters around you. You just feel very lonely. It's a very lonely journey for postgraduate studies. And sometimes, you know, you just feel like an egg. I don't know whether you have felt it, but well, even as a researcher, as a lecturer, as a professor, I have gone through this, okay? Especially when we have got, you know, reports or grants to write. So, but I would say that all these kind of pressure, yeah, is quite good. So I just would like to share with you this emotion chart. This is from actually Associate Professor Dr. Lim Seong Meng. This is when he was doing his PhD. So when I asked him to share, I said, draw for me an emotion chart when you were doing your PhD. You know, this is how he felt. He did his PhD at UNSW. He went in 2008 and he graduated on the dot. Yeah, 2012 he came back after submitting successfully. So you can see that, you know, is he happy all the time? It's not. So your postgraduate journey is not you know, smooth, just like ours, just like anybody's. You know, life is not a bed of roses anyway. Sorry for that, paper lama. I'm on leave today because I got another talk at ILD this evening, so I thought I will just take leave. So please excuse me for that sound. Okay, he's left. So his first year, he was happy, hopeful, very excited to start a PhD. But then he became, second year was frustrated, confused. You know, these are basically the emotion charts. But can you see along that whole path, what has happened? He is still smiling. So my point is, students, you know, your PhD journey is, personally, if you ask me what it is like, I would say that it is a challenging one, but it's a beautiful journey. It's something that, you know, money cannot buy. And for me personally, it's something that I will cherish. Although there are ups and downs, but it's a beautiful journey. So what I'm going to share with you is just how to actually strategize, okay? And I would say that, you know, research generally, be it writing or, you know, your work in the lab, it's not an accident. Okay, it requires planning and not done in our free time. So you can't just say, oh, today, you know, I've a lot of things. I've got children, you know, I have to manage them. I've got many things. I've got things to do, so I don't have time. No, you have to spend time. Okay, this is my lab. So if you go to Faculty of Pharmacy at Puncak Alam FF3, Block FF3, you can see this small little research group known as the Collaborative Drug Discovery Research Group. I am going a bit fast, but you can pause me or you can inform, or, you know, you can put it in the chat box just to slow down a bit. Yeah. So what I've pasted here is culture of accountability. Okay, and if you see here, time is of the essence. Now, what is very important is we have to value time. Okay, and we have to have this culture of accountability. Okay, for example, for me today, I have two talks, one in the morning and one at ILD. So I said that instead of, you know, because I value my time, I didn't want to drive here, drive there. So I just took leave. Okay, I just took leave when technically I don't have to. Now, what is important in research, when you do research, okay, as a postgraduate student, you have got a team, right? You have got your postgraduate supervisor, you've got your co-supervisors. So always, I mean, this is my little lab, and you can see that, you know, we make it lively, be happy, okay, in doing your research. You don't be like, oh, it's difficult, you know, then life is going to be difficult, but just make it exciting. Okay, and remember that you're not alone. Okay, you have got this whole group of team. You've got your faculty backing you up. You've got IPSIS, so you're not alone. Okay, you will not walk alone, like what Liverpool says. Okay, so what does it take to win? I mean, you know that, you know, the recent World Cup, Argentina won, and do you think that what really made them win is the teamwork? So as a postgraduate student, okay, whether you're writing or whatever, you have to work as a team. Okay, you're not a lone ranger. So, you know, and and value or treasure every opportunity that is given to you. For example, here I've sent my student, Dr. Faris. Now he is with UITM also. And do you know why he got UITM, a job at UITM FSG? Simply because of his publications. Okay, that's why I am showing Dr. Faris a photo here, and we sent him to Monash, Australia. So cherish whatever, be it a simple conference or, you know, your time out with your supervisors. Just enjoy this journey, be it easy or difficult. Okay, this is just a publication workshop that we had together with the students. So to me, it's really oh god, it's another round of that. Okay, so in my lab we have got a Hall of Fame where we actually paste all our journal articles written by the students. So, you know, it is important that, you know, as you journey this, you know, your postgraduate studies, publish as you go along, okay? And I would say, to sum it all up, postgraduate studies is a life-changing journey, okay? It is a beautiful journey. So what I would like to tell you, the message that I would like to tell you is that even that whole writing process, enjoy it, cherish it, because this is something that you will use it later, okay? And you may ask me like, hey, why should I publish, or why IPSES says that now if you want to graduate, you have to submit or you have to get the papers, articles published. Now, simply because just now I showed you Dr. Faris' image or photo, right? All my students, I mean, I'm not joking, most of them, they get a job. For example, I have got a student, my PhD student now with the NUS Singapore, and simply because of the publications, okay? So it's not just KPI, but you actually want to share something that is important, something that is new, something that, you know, the world doesn't know, okay? And the other thing that is very important, personally, I feel as a supervisor, is that, you know, supervisors, we guide students, yes, but when you submit, when the student submit the paper, it's free. How do I put it? You know, before your viva, you actually get free input. So we know what are the, you know, issues or challenges that you know, or what does your thesis lack. So when you submit your paper, it's free examination. You don't pay the journal, kan? When you publish, like in our case, we try our best not to pay. So it's free examination of your work before your viva. So you are prepared, because these reviewers who are checking your work when you submit your paper will actually have to comment. So to me, I always ask my students to submit the paper before viva, and it's good that now it's part of that journey that IPSES has done, okay, that you must publish before you graduate, which is so good, because I think that it allows free examination of your work before your viva. And of course, you want to publish in high impact factor journals, kan? And as a young PhD graduate, I told you, a few publications may convince your potential employer. And trust me, the higher the impact, the higher they value you, and it's easier for you to get shortlisted and to get a job. I mean, really, this is from our experience. So I'll go on to habits of highly effective researchers. Now, like I said earlier, I feel like I'm talking to the, you know, I can't see you. So, but never mind. Now, your writing actually, students, it must begin right after you start your postgraduate journey, which means that once you have registered, that's you, okay? You have to start writing. Don't say tomorrow, okay? Don't say tomorrow, because when you start, that is when you start writing. So your article writing or your thesis should start together when you register, okay? And don't wait until, oh, I've not finished this part, no. You start the day you dah register, kan, kat IPSES tu, start. That means you can start writing your proposal, and all this, keep it, okay? Keep like even your references that you write, which I show you in a bit. Now, publish along your candidature. So if you look at my students, even their chapter 2, which is their literature review, almost 100%, we will convert this into a review paper. So if I got time, I will share with you on this part. Okay, today I will share with you on the original articles, but I will share with you, if I got time and if you are interested, I will share with you how I don't waste any part of the thesis. For example, like chapter 2, this I will convert it into, your literature review will be converted into review paper. It can be a narrative review. Okay, so the working chapters like chapter 3, chapter 4, each one will be published as a paper and published along your candidature. So I would say the analogy, okay, for effective researchers to have supply or students like you would be, is just like a movie. I'm sure you like to watch movie, can? I've not watched a movie for a long time, so that's why it's still at Star Wars. So you have got a producer, you have got editors, you have got screenings, your co-supervisors are your screen, they screen everything, and then your supervisor is your producer because they are always pushing everybody in the team. And you, as a student, you are always the director. You have to direct because it's your research, kan? Your supervisor is like a producer. So remember, I mean, just enjoy that whole publication process. So I would say that don't here I put that you must have a supply. My point of writing supply is because you have to try your best, because you see, you have to submit your thesis. You have to submit publication to dah kena accepted, kan? So ensure that you have like if you've done your literature review, make it into a review and submit. Don't wait until the end. I'm going to submit my thesis baru. You want to start, writing. That is a big mistake, a fatal mistake. So start writing, for your publication, even after finishing literature review or your, working chapters. So don't wait until the end, which means that you must have like one minor revision, katakan. At the same time, another one is already communicated, just communicated. That means you understand or not? Don't wait for the end, but as your candidature, as you're doing your PhD or master's, publish. Okay, like masters you need PhD you need at least 2, kan? So publish, midway, or if you can do earlier, it'll be better. That's my point. Now, time management is so important as a postgraduate student and even for us as researchers, right? So I am not saying that you have to work. No, it's not like that. Okay, so work, you must be able to divide your time. I don't have time today to go through this, but if you look at it, researchers gave up hobbies, games, and time with friends to become high-impact researchers. They still had time for family. You cannot leave your family and say, oh, I am doing my postgraduate studies. No. So your priorities must be right. But you cannot have everything. You cannot be enjoying the whole time and you want your postgraduate. That's not wise, right? So your priorities must be right. So when you play hard. When you work, don't play at all. Okay, that means if you're going to, you have to treat your postgraduate studies like 8 to 5. You have to go 8 to 5 lah, and work hard. So 82% of scientists surveyed indicated that they sometimes feel overwhelmed at work. You ask me, I feel overwhelmed. This whole Chinese New Year, we were working. But yet we all know that star scientists, somehow get everything done. And how do they do it? They all said that it is time management. They said that, time is, they strongly agree that to improve, chance of success, it is really time. And so value your time, because writing is all about time. Okay, and if you're asking me, like, some will say, oh, I cannot write very well, so how but it's really learned skills. Do you think that I can write like a star? No, it's learned. You learn. It's your experience. The more you do, the better. Okay, that's very important. Now this is Messi. Now, do you think he just became a star like that overnight? No. Can you imagine how much of effort he would have put in writing? Okay, so practice makes perfect, and you really have to perfect your writing skills. So it's skills and it can be taught, it can be learned. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. Now, but there are a few things that I think is important before I go on. Now, if you're talking about writing, nobody is ever ready to write. Okay, you will always say, okay lah, tak apalah, I will do it tomorrow. Now it's all here, I know what I want to write. I know. You will never feel that urge to start writing now, unless you are very, very, I mean, being honest with you, it's never a ready thing. Okay, I will always think, how if I don't, but you have to force yourself. Okay, so you have to start writing now. Don't wait for tomorrow. Ya, tiada esok bagimu. That means that you have to start writing now, even when you don't feel like it, because you can't remember. Yeah, our memory is not like we have to write now. It's like type. You just type whatever you read, quickly type. Okay, because you will never have that, oh, I will wait for tomorrow, esok masih ada. Honestly, you have to start now if you're talking about writing. So your writing must begin, like I told you, right after you enroll for your postgraduate studies. And if you want to know a secret, okay, right before you feel ready, because you might never reach that point. Because writing is something that, people think, wow, she must be enjoying writing. Yeah? She got many publications. No, we don't. I mean, I wish I had that time. Yes, I love writing. But to feel really ready, it doesn't come naturally. It's how many years of experience now? I wish, because I'm doing many other things. So of course, writing is a bonus for me. But for you all, I know as postgraduate students, I experienced it before. It's very difficult. You will never reach that point that, I'm so excited today to go to the lab to write my paper. I want to see you. You must be a star student. And I wish I could have you. So I was a student before. I know how it feels. So writing is in fact rigorous thinking. So what you could do is actually, for example, I'm just giving you an idea, but you must write every day if possible. Okay, so you have got like this 8 to 5, maybe you need to, like, in the morning you have to do some work, or in the afternoon you have to do some work. So morning, that time that you got, do some snack writing quickly, keep that solid time for a bit of writing. So at least you don't like start fresh, every day. I hope you understand. So what I'm trying, because I can't see you, so what I'm trying to tell you is that you will never feel ready to write, okay, unless, if you are a star student. I really wish I have a student like that. And what is important is don't write only when you feel like writing, okay? So you do snack writing. That is whenever you got free time, do your writing, 1 to 2 hours. At least you must have that flow. And writers write and don't always enjoy it. Okay, so just do it. Okay, like what Nike says. So you have to force yourself into daily writing routine. And many hate writing, so but enjoy the results. I enjoy the results, of course. So just force yourself. It's difficult, but I will show you how to do it easily. Okay, wow, I have to go faster. So very quick one, motivation leads to action, or action leads to motivation. A lot of people will think, wow, today you are motivated because you've listened to all these talks. But honestly, it's action that leads you to motivation. Because when you start writing, you feel that confidence that, oh, I can do it, then you will get motivated. Okay, I'm going to skip this. Now, what is very important when you write is you must have clear deadlines. Okay, I am going to do my introduction today. Okay, by when I can finish all my results, or my figures, my tables, when can I do my results? So try your best to have organize. Okay, organize yourself. I don't have so much of time, I'm afraid, so I can't go through this, but have a goal, plan, and stick to that, okay, and reward yourself at the end. So it's very important that you divide. That means I will show you the different parts of a manuscript. So divide it into, like, when you can finish your abstract. Usually abstract I will do it at the end. So when can I finish my figures? When can I finish my table? When can I finish my results? Those are very important, because that will give you the confidence. And always enjoy after you have finished your part. Once you've finished, achieved your goal, go and have reward, whatever you like or you enjoy. Now, success is like a snowball. It takes a momentum to build, and the more you roll in the right direction, the bigger it gets. You understand or not? Once, I remember, you think that I can write so easily. My first paper, I sent and then waited, like months for it to be accepted. Actually, that is wrong. When you send the next one, so that, you have a whole, you don't wait for one paper. So the more you write, the more motivated you are. And I also want to tell you that sometimes your paper can get rejected. Even I get papers rejected, but don't be sad, okay? And I'm going to go very quickly on practical tips before you write. Is it the right journal? I don't know. Maybe I should do this at the end, because time is against me. Now, I am just going to tell you what is impact factor. A lot of people say, hey, I want to publish in high impact factor. But what is impact factor journal? Impact factor is basically when your citation is high. They calculate impact factor for 2 years usually, okay? Like for a paper that we have published, maybe last year, usually it will come up, it will take a bit of time because they take average of 2 years, average of the citations, the total citations for 2 years divide by the number of articles. So the higher your impact factor, that means more people are citing you. That means it's good. Okay, you don't want to publish in papers that are not cited. Okay, time to publish is important because you are a postgraduate student. You cannot wait forever. You have got a time frame. You need to graduate. Okay, like for example, I submitted this paper to a very good journal. This is many years ago, I think, yeah, 2013, 10 years ago. So you see, my experience was not good enough at that time. This editor took a very long time. So I actually had to withdraw the paper. So if it's too long, you have to be smart. Okay, but usually nowadays it's quite fast. This is those days. Okay, so if it's too long, you cannot wait. You have to discuss with your supervisor. Now, where to submit publication? Avoid non-refereed journals. Avoid volumes with low prestige editors or authors. You will know this is experience, but what is a very easy way for you is to Google. You can always Google. I don't want to put the list here, but do not publish in predatory journals. Just Google, you can find the list. Just type predatory journals. It will tell you what are the journals that you should not publish in. Okay, so don't go and publish in journals that are not of value. Now, an easy way for you to search like where am I to publish is use this term called journal selector or finder. Just Google journal selector or finder. You will have various kinds of publishers with their own. It's more like a software, right? So they will tell you to put in your keywords, your abstract, and your title. That's it. You don't have to put the whole paper most of the time. So this is one example. So you just type journal selector or finder. And this is from China, I think, but quite okay. So you just put in your abstract, title, keywords. It will suggest, which journals are suitable. So Elsevier has its own, Springer has its own. So, just go and type journal finder. But what I like to do, personally, I like to do, apart from journal finders, I will also do that. But what I also like to do is I will get into this, I don't know whether you're familiar with Shimago. So just Google Shimago, okay, journal rank. So here it tells you everything, but this is Scopus, okay? So the first step is for you to get into Shimago, do a journal, just get into this link, okay? Shimago in general search, you will get into this link. Google search this tool and you will get into this link. So it will tell you what are the Q1 journals, Q2 journals. So you know, actually roughly you will know, discuss with your supervisor, roughly you will know whether it's Q1 or Q2 journal. Usually I can guess, from the amount of work that I've done, I know whether this can go into what kind of journal. But always start with a high impact factor journal. Then if it's rejected, go down. Okay. But once you put, because this is Scopus, once you have put it inside here, go and check into your Web of Science, see whether it's indexed in Web of Science. So there's two. One is Scopus, one is Web of Science. Web of Science is better, okay? So, of course, UiTM, they want Scopus is enough for you to graduate. But personally, I would think that get into this. Once you have selected your journal, because this one will give you the whole list of journals, then get into Web of Science. That is the next one here. You go to UiTM Easy Access, the online journals, you can go under Web of Science W. Then check whether this journal, if I got time, I will show you later. You see, Web of Science Index Journal. So that is a good way of searching journals. But if you have questions, I can share with you. I don't mind, if you're really interested, I don't mind staying on. Okay, I don't have time for activity today, but anyway, I'll go on to type of manuscripts very quickly. Now, like I said to you earlier, for you, mainly for you as students, it will be full articles, or some people call it original articles. So these are your main, in your thesis, your lab work, or whatever that you do, that is your original article or your full article. Okay, so review papers will basically be more of your literature review and things like that. Okay, so mainly you will be having your thesis itself will be full articles or original articles. These are completed pieces of research. Okay, and your review papers, your literature review, you can put it as review papers. I know that a lot of people think review must be invited. No, nothing like that. I will show you how all you need is a pre-submission inquiry letter. So usually I write to the editor to ask, to say, you know, these are the things that I'll show you later, okay, of what you need in this pre-submission inquiry letter. Basically, I'll put in like, what are the new things that my review is about, okay? So to convince the editor. So once that send that inquiry letter to the editor will say, okay, I'm interested. Then you send your review paper. So that is different from a full article. What I'm going to share with you today is mainly on full article because this is completed pieces of research. Now, rapid communication is if you have found something new, something very interesting, something fast, it's very, very short and rapid, okay? If you don't understand, you can ask me later. Now, what types of manuscripts? So this one is usually in the guideline for authors. If you know what journal, I showed you already, right, how to find the journal. So if you know what journal you want to submit to, as students, you go in and read your guidelines to the authors, okay? So it will tell you, you know, what you need to do and things like that. Okay, I'm going to go on straight to the article structure because, yeah, I've got only about 40 minutes now. Now, please pay attention, yeah, because I really hope that what I'm sharing with you will bless you, and that's the reason that because for me, it's my time. So I really hope that what I'm going to share with you will stay on and you will practice it, okay? So the general structure of a full article is like this. You have got your title, you've got your author list, you've got your abstract, you've got your keywords, and you've got your main text. And we call that as IMRAD, okay? Your main text will be the introduction, methods, results, discussion, and of course, a conclusion at the end of the discussion. Then you've got acknowledgement, references, supplementary material. So supplementary material is, you know, because nowadays articles, right, they don't want it to be too long. So what you need to do is, if you have got too much of results, the not important ones, you can put it as supplementary material. The important ones, put it in your results. So the most important part in a full article is this IMRAD. Okay, so I hope that you have got this. And this should be your main focus. Now, when you start writing, and I really hope that you are with me, when you are writing, please take note of this. The best is to write backwards, students. Why? Because don't write your abstract first, don't write your title first, no. Those are the end. You do that at the end. Get your figures and tables first. Now, this is something that I share over and over again with my students. They are successful because when we discuss with them every 2 weeks or every 1 month, we actually ask them to show when they have done a piece of experiment. Okay, one part of the experiment is done. It's not the whole part. If, for example, your experiment, you have got 5 parts. Now you have done only 1 part. Discuss this with your supervisor, like how you are going to publish. That means you must put it in a figure or a table such that your supervisor can understand. That means that figure and table should be complete with statistical analysis, should be with, you know, everything, all the notes that you want to put. So it's easy for your supervisor, it's easy for you. Now, why am I telling you to do this? Because like once you finish one small experiment, put it in that format so that at the end, your figures and tables are ready for you to publish. So when you are writing paper, I would like to repeat again, don't start with your title and abstract. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but the best way, the easiest way as a student would be get your figures and tables first. That is the most important thing. And imagine that your figures and tables should be, I don't know whether I've put here. I've not put here. But your figures and tables must be like real figures that you want to publish already ready. That means it's ready for submission, the figures. So what I'm trying to say is that the figure must have a title, okay? For example, figure 1, what is the title? And then everything, you know, if you've got your statistical analysis done, your notes, everything should be in that figure and table. I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say. Now, get this done first. You know why? Because once this is done, then you can start writing. So please remember, write backwards. Figures and tables must be done first, because if without that, how are you going to write your results? Now, methods, no problem. You can write as you go. Okay, if you want to start your method, you can write, because method is easy again, because this is something. But what, as you're doing your experiment, always I tell my students to record what is the brand of the equipment they're using, because that is important. You cannot be like, finish everything already, I have to go to the lab and check what brand. Okay, maybe it's spoiled or don't know what happens. So ensure that you write your brand of the equipments and everything that you use in the methods. Methods you can do as you do the experiment, but figures and tables, once you get your results, put it. Okay, so this is the first part. You can then write your methods and write your, once your figure and tables are there, then describe your results. It's easier. Then you can do your results discussion, conclusion, and finally introduction. Then only abstract and title. So you may wonder why, but really, honestly, this is an easy way. Okay, and each section is important. It has a definite purpose. So a lot of people would think title, like I told you at the end. I always develop my title at the end, because title actually will describe your whole paper. Okay, this is a new style. Previously, when I was doing my PhD, it will always be very standard, it's very boring. Effects of dot, 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 but it doesn't tell you anything. So I will share with you how to get the reader's attention, okay? And now, it has to be informative and concise, because usually it's less than 15 words, okay? So describe the article's content clearly and precisely. That means that when I read your title, I know what your results are, okay? And you may be wondering, like, what am I trying to say? So avoid jargon, abbreviations, and what is very important is, omit words, unnecessary words like a study of, effect of, investigation of, observation on. Don't do all that, because that is, zaman saya. When I was studying, doing my PhD, this is how we put a study or effects of, observation, investigation. Enough. We know you are investigating. We know you're observing, kan? So now your generation is totally different. Your generation is a fast generation, right? So you want everything to be clear, and we also want, this is something that I also learned over the years, that your title, when I read that title, that one sentence, I know what the whole your project is all about. Okay, so now this is how I did this is what, 2009. So many years ago. I would just put antimicrobial and cytotoxic activities of Malaysian endophytes. Is it good? Honestly, it's not good. It just tells me that, well, very general. It just tells me, oh, it's antimicrobial. That means that these endophytes, this fungus lah, basically, okay, can kill maybe microbes and also cancer cells. Now, you see how I developed this. That was 2009. This is later lah, I'm sure. Okay, you see, I put in more meaningful. It's more, the title becomes more meaningful when I add more information. For example, it's not longer, so much longer, kan? Induction of apoptosis against cancer cell lines by 4 ascomycetes from Malaysian rainforest. The same thing I could have done for this, but I did not, because I don't have that experience. So this is what I'm trying to tell you, students. So get this, what I'm trying to share with you is, last time I learned the difficult way. Nobody told me. So now I am telling you. So follow this way. That try your best to put in your results in your title. So when I read the title, or anybody reads the title, they know. Last time I just said, oh yeah, the fungus, okay, the endophytes can kill cancer cells. Because, this is what I said. They show that the endophytes have got cytotoxic activities. But now I go further. I say that these endophytes are what? These are ascomycetes. So it explains it clearly, what are these endophytes? What type of endophytes are they? And it also tells, not only it kills the cancer cells, but it also tells how it kills cancer cells through apoptosis. Can you see how? And you see, this is the more recent one, better. Just now, I just said apoptosis. Now, what did I say? I say apoptosis induced by desmethylacidoprotein. This is the chemical compound. The compound is associated with upregulation of what genes and downregulation of what genes. So, can you see that it become? Just read the title and I know exactly what is my result. So I hope you get this clearly. Okay, I can't see you, so it's difficult, but I'll ask you later whether you understand. You know, developing your title, these are experiences that I am giving you. I'm showing you how to actually develop your title. So today, I don't write anymore on very general titles. My titles are very straight to the point. Chitosan-coated alginate xanthan gum-bead, enhanced pH and thermotolerance. So it tells you exactly what the paper is all about. Peripheral cytokines, exactly what cytokines are they, are associated with Alzheimer's disease. So you look at all my papers, the title will tell you what is the study about and what are not just what is the study all about, but what are my results, what are my findings. So what I'm trying to tell you is your title must have your findings. Okay, I'm done with the title. Now I'm going to the abstract. Now, so I told you that in one sentence of your title, you can actually get exactly what your findings are. Now, abstract is more like your advertisement. Okay, because this publication is all about whether people want to read your paper or not, right? So it's advertisement and really depends. Some journals say 300, some journals say 200, and some have got their own, guidelines for abstract. So follow it. But what I'm going to share with you, you will never go wrong if you follow this. Okay, whether you're writing a grant, you're writing a paper, you're writing anything, your thesis. This is the standard. This is just a formula. That's why I'm saying that if you can follow this formula, you will not go wrong. So bukan ajaran sesat ya. And okay, now an abstract must have certain things. It must, okay? It must have the problem statement. It must have the objective, it must have the method, it must have the result, it must have the conclusions. You will wonder and ask me, if you can ask me, why is it that, how to write everything in these 300 words? There is a way, which I will show you, okay? So remember, if you can write in one sentence your title, you can write your findings, why can't you write in 300 words all these things? Okay, so that means an abstract is advertisement. When I read the abstract, wow, they know in further detail what you are working on. So the abstract should be should give you sufficient detail so that the reader can decide whether or not to read the whole article. Because if your abstract is not interesting, why would they want to read, Ken? So together, the title and the abstract should be able to stand on their own. Okay, so from when a person reads the title, the abstract, they will think, okay, should I read this or not? And this is a mistake that I over and over again I tell, but people still make mistakes, be it grants, be it whatever. They like to include references, figures, tables, citation, nothing. Your abstract should not have references, okay, nothing like that. Many authors write the abstract last so that it accurately reflects the content of the article. That's me. I write my abstract at the end. Now, sometimes journals also want graphical abstract. Very good. Now, when my students, this is again one of my postgrad student, and he was doing it when he did his PhD at UiTM. Okay, so be proud of where you are, and we can also produce amazing students. Now, what he did was, what is very important is when you do something, give your best, not second best. On second best, leave it somewhere else. So, graphical abstract is a way where you easily, not all publications require graphical abstract, but this one does. So do it properly, because he is doing coating of these probiotics with some here in this case it's alginate and all that. So you see, he shows how the coating is, how the results are. This is the SEM results. So he also shows like this. So it's very clear, very beautiful. And when you one look at it, you know what the study is. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that always give your best. Okay. And this is also another graphical abstract. Okay. I now will share with you on abstract. Like I told you, it's just a formula and you'll never go wrong. Okay, so this is the project, basically, okay, on how to coat, because microbes, I work on probiotics. These are basically microorganisms, and microorganisms will die at low pH and high temperature, right? You can't, your Yakult or your Vitagen, for example, you can't keep it outside, or it will die, the microorganisms will die. So we want to coat these microorganisms, okay? I'm sharing with you this one so that you can understand the principle. So like I said, your abstract, you will never go wrong if you have the problem statement, you have the objectives, You have the results and you have the conclusion. So in this case, you see just one sentence for his problem. The vulnerability of probiotics at low pH and high temperature has limited their optimal use as nutraceuticals. Now, this journal does not require many a lot of pages, so it's a lot of words, so it's really short. So you can see that one sentence he puts in his problem statement, then go on straight to the objective. This study addresses these issues by ... So that is your objective. And then your results, okay? So your results, can you see there are no references? And put in your results. Put in what are the most important results. And if you can put in, like, which one is, higher, which is lower, and whether it's significant or not. And finally, one sentence on the conclusion. This is another abstract. This is again on probiotics, but how it can reduce cholesterol. Now, whatever I'm showing is from my postgrad students who have published and are successful. Now, this is about how probiotics reduces cholesterol. Now, there's growing interest in the use of probiotic as an alternative therapy against hypercholesterolemia. Then straight away, you go to your objective. What are your results and what is your conclusion? Now, some journals actually they have their own requirement. For example, this journal, GGI, I think, it has got its own. That means they want you to start with aims, methods, results, conclusion. So follow that particular requirement. Okay, when there's no requirement, then do it this way. That means your problem statement, objective, if possible, methods. Yeah, methods is something that I would like to add, but sometimes they say 100 words or 150, then you got no choice lah, omit the methods. But if they say 300 words, then you can put in your method. Okay, I wish that we could do this activity together, but you can't because it's not a physical setting. But this is something that I learned anyway. So, I never put so much of thought in the abstract, in this abstract. But if you read this abstract, you will realize that I was going on and on and on talking until here, I think, until the end, about what? About the problem. And at the end, I say, what is my aim? Okay, it got published, but this is a mistake. Okay, I actually wanted you to identify. So I just explain all on the problem, which is very wrong. Okay, so don't do it this way. Do it properly, like this. Okay. Keywords. So, title is very important as it will reflect your whole article. Abstract is your advertisement, and keywords are like your labels, labels to your manuscript. And they are critical. It shouldn't be too broad and it shouldn't be too narrow. Okay, so a lot of people just, chinchai, they call it chinchai, or just, quickly go through the keywords. No, take time. You have to put appropriate keywords because people, when they want to search for your article, they will use what? Keywords. If you don't put probiotics, you don't put lactobacillus, you don't put the important keywords there, they may miss your article. And if they miss your article, then you may not be cited. And nowadays, Elsevier and others, they actually have the classification. Okay, you have to choose what is the classification, basically, whether it's neuroscience or whether it's, it goes in detail a bit. Okay, I'll go on to the introduction. Now, I'll try my best to keep to time, and I'll give half an hour for a Q&A or 15 minutes for Q&A. Now, introduction is also, every part is important. It's also important because if your abstract is written well, they will now try to actually read the introduction. Your introduction has to be, it's like your abstract, but it gives you more space and more time to write. So this is where you can convince the reader of the importance of your work. Same thing, dia tak lari. Just memorize this, your problem statement, whether abstract or intro, it starts off with your problem statement, okay? Then it will go on a bit on your gap, okay? And then on your, maybe for this one, it goes on hypothesis, and then it's also a formula, okay? Hypothesis, and then it lead to your objective. So maybe the arrangement is different, okay? Because you don't actually, usually we don't actually put in the method unless it's a new method. So I will show you in detail on how to write the introduction as well and give you an example. So introduce the main scientific publications on which your work is based. Now, for example, you are doing some work and you miss a very important paper. it's not very good, because it may actually go to the reviewer too, will be in your area, okay? It may go to them. So make sure that your papers that you select for your introduction or your results discussion, you must have one at least or two, the main papers. For example, if I'm doing on probiotics, okay, and a certain area, for example, on gut-brain axis, if I miss an important paper, what does it show? It just shows that I am not reading the right things, right? So introduce the main scientific publications on which your work is based on. This is very, very important. Don't miss the important ones. That means it shows that you have not read everything. So cite a couple of original important works, including recent review articles. Explain what findings of others, if any, you are changing or challenging or extending. I will show you an example so it's easier. Now, briefly describe your hypothesis, research questions, and general experimental design or method. And lengthy interpretation should be left until the discussion. Editors hate references that are not relevant. It's not about people. Nowadays, your reviewer, your editors, they don't want you to put too many references. They always ask us to cut our references. So don't think that, oh, the more I put, if I put 50, it's better. Nothing like that. Put in only references that are useful for your introduction or your paper. Don't put things that are not relevant, okay? Because they will have an idea already, this person is not serious. And honestly, when you read the introduction, when you read something, the reader, I'm a reviewer, okay? So I will know whether that person on the other side, okay, I cannot see, of course, the person on the other side is sincere or not. Just, because whether they really want the paper to be published, you can feel when you read, okay? Okay, I better have a quick sip. Now, okay, so again, I'm giving you a formula. Please focus on this so that your life, it can help you. Okay, your life will be easier when you write, whatever field you are. Now, like I told you, start off with a problem. The problem statement lah, not start off with a problem. Start off with the problem statement. Now, if you don't have a problem, why are you doing your research? Betul tak? Impossible for you to do your postgraduate studies without a problem. You are here because you want to solve something that is new, right? So there must be a problem. If everything is solved in this world, then we don't have to do research, right? And you won't be here. So start off with a problem. Now, this project is on Alzheimer's disease. Basically, it's we are using blood biomarkers, okay? We want to find blood biomarkers for Alzheimer's disease using omics technology. Simple. Alzheimer's disease is nothing but nyanyuk, okay? Maybe your grandparents or, as they age, you will think that, they become forgetful, kan? So you think that it's normal aging. Tak, Alzheimer's is a disease, and it's not normal aging, okay? For example, Pak Lah, our previous ex-prime minister, kan? He has got Alzheimer's disease now. So that is nyanyuk, okay? So anybody can get Alzheimer's disease, right? So how do we know Alzheimer's disease? Unless you actually, I don't want to go too much on Alzheimer's disease, but basically the project is on nyanyuk, and we want to identify blood. That means that if I take the blood, I can sort of identify if this person got Alzheimer's or not. Just like your glucose, okay, for sugar or diabetes. Okay, so here I explain, because I have to relate this to you so that I can explain and you understand. Now, the problem would be what? I have to explain what is the disease. Of course, if I'm doing Alzheimer's, I talk about Alzheimer's. If you're doing cancer, you talk about cancer. Usually you tell, explain a bit lah, no need so much, because those people are usually in your field, kan? So just explain what is the prevalence and things like that. And what is, usually I give prevalence, worldwide, Malaysia. But if in Malaysia, if it's an international journal, don't need to put Malaysia, just put worldwide punya number. And what are the issues? So currently there is no cure for AD. Okay, there are no drugs to treat there are drugs to treat the symptoms, but not a drug to treat the disease. No, symptoms, yes, it can maybe stop, but from becoming worse. But there's no cure for AD. There's no cure. There's treatment only for the symptoms. So what we can do, since there's no cure for AD, the best way would be diagnosis. And diagnosis now, the current existing solution, you must say, you see, when there's a problem, there must be existing solutions. It cannot be like, I am the first to come up with this. No. I'm sure there is current solution. Explain. So after putting in your problem is what currently there's no cure for AD. Early diagnosis and intervention are best options, but the current evaluation diagnosis for AD are usually at the advanced state, and it's still when people it's through sign and symptoms, like Pak Lah, maybe he cannot remember, or our grandparents, they cannot remember. It's always sign and symptoms, and then oh my God, they have got Alzheimer's. So that's the problem. That is the problem today. Okay, you can see that our older generation, is increasing in population, and you just can't keep quiet. We can't just sit back and say, it's just normal aging. No, and it's too late. Sometimes we wait. Oh, they are forgetful, or maybe they got AD. It's too late because it's sign and symptoms. So what are the current solutions? So the current solutions is, of course, to bring your grandparents or whoever they are to see the doctor, and that sign and symptoms, because they will do your memory tests, okay? And the doctor will tell you, oh, your score is below 18. That means they have got, memory impairment. So that is the only way. It's sign and symptoms, but it's too late, kan? You can't reverse. So but there are existing solutions. For example, definite AD diagnosis would be of course after the person is through postmortem. They can check. Usually they will check the amyloid deposition. But what the current technique will be to use neuroimaging techniques. Okay, if it's not postmortem, these people can actually use. There are current existing solutions like neuroimaging techniques, but not all hospitals are available, and it's very expensive, like PET scan and all that. It's very expensive. So can you see that I am telling you like a story? I am telling you what is the problem of AD, that diagnosis, there's no cure. That is a problem. And diagnosis is what? It still depends on sign and symptoms. And neuroimaging techniques are what? The limitation of the current existing solutions is what? The limitation of the current existing solution is neuroimaging techniques. But what is the limitation? Limitation is it's not in every hospital, and it's very expensive. Can everybody afford it? No. So can you see how I bring from a problem statement to what is the existing solution? It's very important to identify what are the existing solutions, because if you cannot tell what are the I am very certain that whatever you are looking at, there must be existing solutions. Then go in with your limitation. Like in this case, PET scan. These imaging techniques are not available in all hospitals. So that is the limitation. So I hope you understand a problem statement, existing solutions. What are the limitations of the existing solution? So there is a gap. Now that gives you an opportunity to tell you what you want to do. So clearly there is a gap. So why don't we use, instead of using neuroimaging techniques, why don't we use blood? It's convenient, okay? A convenient non-invasive blood-based test would be very important to be used as a diagnosis. So that, can you see that we bring you, like a story, we bring you to the gap of the study. Okay, so the gap is very important. Huh? Now, I want to use the omics technology. So now it's going into like you must go in with scientific evidence to support your hypothesis. Now you want to say that, hey, maybe, convenient non-invasive blood test will be useful. Then this is your hypothesis. And you want to use what? You want to use the omic technology, for example. So you can say that people have done omics, but people have done on isolation. So now tell what is the difference between your study and previous studies. So this must be with scientific evidence. You cannot just say, oh, I want to do omics technology because I like it. No, nothing like that. You must have scientific evidence to back you up. Okay, and then that is basically your hypothesis. So your hypothesis must be backed up. So you are clear, you have got your problem statement, you have which leads you to your existing solutions. And existing solution, kalau the other existing solution is super good already, then you don't have a problem, kan? So what is the limitation to your existing solution? Put in, this brings you to your gap. Once you have your gap, introduce your hypothesis. Your hypothesis must be backed up with scientific evidence. If not, your hypothesis is no point, because you cannot just say, oh, I want, because I think, it works. No, nothing like that. It must be backed up with scientific evidence, and that will lead you to your objective. So can you see that an introduction can be written very well if you think? So all this actually requires you to sit down and think, okay, and you can do it. It's not difficult. I am telling you this story. You may be of engineering background, okay, or a different background, but you can understand my story because I tell it to you like a story. So it's not too difficult, kan? Okay, the pitfall of an introduction is too wordy. once when you're writing tu kan, tak payah tulis macam tulis buku cerita, tidak. Cerita lain, storytelling is different. You tell your story, but tell it very briefly and nicely. Okay, so never use words that are not necessary. Do not turn it into history. So people will like lose. Okay, the usually an introduction kan for a paper would be 1.5 to 2 pages. So just keep it short, keep it sweet and nice. Now, always keep sections separate to ensure manuscript flows logically from once. It must flow like a story, like I told you. But if you follow my formula, you shouldn't. It should flow logically lah. And don't use this car salesman field. Used car salesman field. Jangan sell. Don't sell your hypothesis without evidence. This is what I'm trying to tell you. When you do your hypothesis here, I don't have so much of time to go in detail, but it must be with evidence. Jangan sell, oh, this is my hypothesis is very good, but what is the evidence, okay? And if possible, don't use novel, first time, first ever, all these. Zaman purba boleh lah, zaman dulu boleh. Tapi zaman sekarang ni, it becomes very, unless you are really doing it for the first time. Okay, so I'm done with title, with abstract, with intro. So I hope you are with me and I'm not alone. Okay, let's go on to the method section. Method is very easy because it's all about what? About details. And I told you earlier that as a student, when you are doing your experiment, ensure that you record what are the brands that you're using, from where, which country, all this, because these are information that you need, even country, quickly Google and check, because these are important information for your publication. Now, if your methods are new, they will need to be explained in detail, okay? Otherwise, name the method, because if it's like, example, extraction of RNA or DNA, these are standard methods, kan memang it's like you open any paper, it's there already, it's very established. So all those no need to write in detail, just cite your previous published work. But if you have a modified method, please put in the original work and how you have modified, okay? If it's new method, write in detail. So identify the equipment, describe material used, and specify the source if there is variation in quality of materials. Be precise in describing measurements and include errors of measurement. So be very clear and use statistical analysis. Okay, so if you look at this example of mine, you can see that we put everything in detail, okay? And it depends on the publication. Like sometimes people like to put materials together and then only you start, describing. So I will show examples if you want later, but basically, because I'm supposed to show examples, but I don't think maybe I have the time. Okay, this is our recent paper. You can see that method is always very. Can you see that we put in, because this one we have to inject according to day. So we put in very clearly so the reviewer will not get confused. We put everything very clearly such that, can you see everything is written very clearly? And like I said, figures and tables, do this earlier. You don't have to wait. Dah lah pening kan nak tulis this is what experiment. Write all this, do this. This is method section. So you can do this figure earlier, Then you write your method. It's so much easier. Okay, can you see my screen on the PowerPoint, Doctor? Because I changed, I'm scared never mind. I think you can see my screen then. Because I can't see anything. Okay. I guess you can see my screen. Now, for the method section, if we have time, I'll show you in detail, okay? So for results, okay, results is different from discussion. Don't repeat the same thing in your discussion. A lot of times, student will say significantly different here, and then discussion also significantly different. It's different. Discussion is different, results are different. Now, results, you put in only representative results. Essential for the discussion should be presented because sometimes people don't want to see so much of results. So keep that secondary data for your supplementary material. I can show you this. So these are my results. Okay, these are very important results, kan? But for supplementary, I put in the not important ones. I hope it's here. No, it's not here. No, it's not here. But actually, even this paper has got the supplementary part. So you can see supporting information, supplementary data associated with this article can be found in the online version. I don't want to click this now because it will take time. So what is not very crucial, it is your results, but it will be useful for the reader. Put it in your supplementary. I can take questions later if it's necessary. Okay, now put in only your important data, the one supplementary, you can put it in supplementary material. Do not hide data, you know, trying to keep, oh, I want to break my paper into 5 papers, tak payah. Put data enough, sufficient for one paper, because if you break it into 2 papers, then you can't publish in high impact factor journals, okay? And use subheadings to keep results of the same type together, easier to review and read, okay? What I'm trying to say is like this. This is a lot of work, you know, okay. So if you see, I divide it like, you know, this is one part, okay. And then this is another part. So can you see like everything is like flows one, you know, from one to another, kan? So it really flows from one to another. So keep each section separate because this is not discussion, this is result. So keep everything separately. I will come to this later. Okay, now tell a clear and easy to understand story, and appearance counts. Okay, so ensure that everything is done properly. If you look at my paper just now, for me it's an eyesore. If you know students cannot even put one small, one big, katakan, you know, like this, one small, one big, cannot. I mean, no point. You want to do it properly, so do it tak payahlah supervisor you come and tell you, come sit beside me, hey, this one is small, this one is big, can you make everything equal? No need. You know, you are a postgraduate student, you are intelligent. So if you can see that something is lacking, don't wait for your supervisor. Kasihan, pity your supervisor, really. They got a lot of work. So my students are trained. So when we discuss, we will already sort of highlight. If once, tak apalah, you're learning kan. But don't make the same. If your supervisor already taught you how to do it nicely, do it nicely. So appearance counts, do it neatly. So uncrowded plots, okay, and this one you should know lah, okay. And if you are doing experiments that require scale, you must have the scale bar, okay? And use color only when necessary because you have to pay for colors, right? And usually I use color only if it's like fluorescence imaging. If not, I don't. I put it in black and white, okay? And do not selectively adjust any image to enhance. Now, if you've got any fluorescence work like ours, do not adjust the image, you know, to make it beautiful or like that, because they will know, they want to see original. And do not include long and boring tables. So you can see that sometimes you can mix a figure and, you know, like this figure with images. But what is important is explain everything so that the reader no need to go and check, hey, what is this? Okay, how did they do? No need. So explain everything if possible. See, I already tell here using what method. So it's easy for them. And what is important is you must put your figure together. If it's table 3, figure 3, figure 3. Okay, so that's results. And for discussion is what the results mean. Don't again repeat your results. No. Now what you really have to tell is, now from your studies, what did you get? And very often my take-home message would be this. Always, I always ask my student to come up with a pathway. Now, from your experiment, this is on biomarkers actually. This is for Alzheimer's. This is the protein markers. So this is peripheral, the blood, and this is the brain. So I said, okay, you found this. So how do you actually relate your markers? Why do you think from the brain? This is still the amyloid story. I've got many students under this project. So how do you see these protein markers here in the brain? Okay, we didn't do brain, right? We did blood. We did only blood. because we didn't get the brain samples, we only got blood samples. So how can you think, okay, why is fibrinogen or ApoA lower and fibrinogen higher? How do you think this is related to the brain? So this is your discussion. So discuss that you got all these things. So how do you relate it to the brain? So that means that this is a discussion. Okay, I'll show you later. I think even for this paper, kan, if you see, we actually hypothesize at the end, after all our experiments from, you know, day 0 to day 30, you can see that we hypothesize. What did we hypothesize at the end of the day? So, you know, and all these are students' work, not our work. These are students who did this work. So if they can do it, you can also do it, right? So what is important in a discussion is you have to discuss, okay, from your results, what can you find, okay? That is important. That is a discussion, and it must of course correspond to the results and compare with previous studies. Did they get it like this? Is it similar? If it's different, it's fine. You know, it's your result. So confront it, okay, and don't hide it, okay? So it doesn't matter, you know, if your results are negative, still discuss it. Now, very important is a lot of people will say higher temperature, lower temperature. No, when you describe, this is for results. So when you describe, you must say significantly higher. What significant in what? P, what value, what? Significantly higher by how many percent? Don't say higher temperature, lower temperature, no meaning. You must say higher, significantly higher by what? Lower by what? So all these are very quantitative description is very, very important. Okay. And okay, these are just some general information. You know, what makes a good manuscript? It contains a clear, useful, and exciting scientific message. So it is like a story, but it's a scientific message. Flows in a logical manner, and is formatted to the best showcase the material. It's very important. You have to format and do this to the best. This one you can do. You can do better than your supervisor because you all are young, kan? And it's written in a style that transmits the message clearly. Everybody wants to read. So if you can, this is bukan like tell you not history class, kan? So if you can finish it in N words, no need to add more words or, you know, your supervisor will be impressed. No, be concise. That's the secret. Okay. And I told you, all my students, whatever their project is. So even if engineering, I don't have engineering students, but if you have, I had one before. Now, you must be able to come up with a nice figure, okay, of your results, of your findings. And that is the discussion. So can you see that actually, this is the footnote for figure 5. You can see this is the explanation, okay? So clearly explains how, you know, you can see A, B, C, D. So people can follow actually how, what is the pathway and why do you think, you know, this is important? So I told you, all my students have to, they cannot escape. They must have a pathway. How, you know, your results, because you can't imagine, you know, if you can, if the reader can see a figure, it's easier for them to understand than without this figure. I can write, okay, these are my results. So the reader may not be able to imagine, but if you put this, because you know better than the reader, so you put this, then they can understand, how the probiotics can reduce cholesterol. All these are master's activity. This is master's in 2000 what? Maybe 2009. Okay, so even from then, I already asked them to do all this. Now, conclusion is you don't repeat anything else, but you really want the punchline. What is the message that you want to tell people? What is it? What is it that, you know, your findings you think that is so important? What are the main findings or your main highlights? Okay, so it's not just a repeat of the abstract or just list experimental results, but from all these findings, what do you think is your main outcome? Okay. And always remember to acknowledge your grants. So you always have to go straight to the, you know, and end it by such findings will provide important insight into the synergistic use of, for example, this chemical. This was written long ago in 2009. Okay, acknowledgements, recognize those who helped in the research. You want them to help you again, can? And all your financial, you know, supporters, proofreaders, or whoever who did work for you. And the listing of authors should always include those who have made an intellectual contribution to the research, who publicly defend the data and conclusions, and who have approved the final version. Now, students, you must go through your supervisor for any kind of publication, and you ensure your supervisor will usually determine who the authors are. Okay, it's not the students. Like usually, supervisor will determine, and usually those who really contribute. a bit on scientific language, what is very important is actually now you can use softwares, and there are many softwares that are available, and it may be useful. I think it's really useful if you can invest on softwares. And very often, right, for publication, if English is not your first language, they will recommend that you ask a native English speaker. Usually I don't get this, but I have got friends or, previous students who have, working in other universities, they ask, how, because they always get this. So there are some, usually there are a few proofreaders who are very good, who come back fast. So you can actually ask for help. And UITM we have got our own language editing to proofread, kan? I think it's with ILD. This is just some, okay. So references, Zaman Purba, that is my time when I did my PhD. I had to use manually reference, kesian, pity us actually. But that learned us to be very careful with references lah. Today, I will try my best not to make mistakes. You have EndNote, you have Mendeley, so many softwares to help you. That's not an issue. To check my time. Okay. Now, this is just to show you that submission is not a black hole. It's very, very clear, very transparent. So now how do you submit? First, usually a supervisor will submit. When you have to, of course, register dulu, kan, with once you finalize what journal, you have to register, then you have to submit the paper. So basically, you start. Nowadays it's very good. There are basic requirements. So it goes straight to the editor. Editor will tell you whether, sometimes it's just about your formatting, and some editors are very good because they will tell you whether it fits that journal or not. So within 1 week, you actually the editor tells you whether it's okay. I assign you a reviewer, or even at this stage, it will go back to you. Now, don't be sad, because at least the editor is kind enough to tell you that it doesn't fit. So don't waste your time, 3 or 6 months waiting for it to be reviewed. So very happy if the editor thinks it doesn't fit, it doesn't matter. You can send to another journal. Okay. So if the editor thinks, okay, seems like, it fits this journal, and you've got your basic requirements. If he says yes, he will assign reviewers. And yeah, nowadays, usually they will ask for 3 or 4 reviewers and give them. Usually you don't put your supervisor's name, your co-supervisor's name. You don't put your people who are closely linked to you. You put, and usually not in the same university. I don't put it in the same university. Usually I put either, it depends where I send. If high impact factor journals, I get a pool. I have a list of reviewers, every time you get a reviewer, put them in, because it has to be in that field. So I will check from my previous publications, or my when I read the articles, I know that, okay, this author is suitable. So I will keep a list of reviewers. So usually the editor will take from your list, but if they don't want, they can. So they will assign, but that's why don't get your friends or people from our own university, but get from outside. Not if possible, if it's high impact, get from overseas, okay? And people in the field. Unless we have got people in the field here, put in, why not? But don't put in your same university. And then the reviewers will review, and the reviewer will recommend, okay? So the reviewers' comments will go to the editor again. Can you see that it will go back to the editor? Reviewers' comment goes to the editor. Editor makes a decision. If, like, for example, there are 3, then 2 say okay, 1 say not, then the editor will decide. Okay, if 1 say yes, 1 say no, the editor will decide. Finally, editor makes a decision to accept, means it's good. But usually it will be accept. Usually revision is required. Sometimes they reject outright. Sometimes revision, usually most of the times revision. I have got, for example, that paper that I showed you just now, first one major revision, second we had 2 revisions. So it's okay. It's a learning process, and we learn a lot during this process. During this revision, we learn a lot, and I'm still learning. Okay, and I'm not embarrassed to say I'm still learning. Revise the paper, and finally it will be accepted. Usually it goes back to the editor. It doesn't go back to the reviewer. It goes back to unless it's major revision, and it will be accepted. So it's not a black hole. Okay, so this is how your page will be. Okay, they will say submit new manuscript once you register, and then everything is easy, just follow. Now, very important is a cover letter and suggestion of reviewers. So I will show you my recent, yeah, this is old one. You see, I also learned, I think this is 2009. You see, my review, my cover letter is not so much, you know, I just tell them the present study reports what. But now I learned over the years that tell them what is the significance of the study, how different is your study, even in the letter to editor. Tak payah tulis banyak lah, tapi I always write what is the significance of the study, how different is it from previous, and then I put, okay, previous, because it makes the editor's life easier, kan? And reviewers' life easier, because like I tell them, okay, there are 2 papers in the area, but how different is this paper? How different is this paper? How different is this paper and this paper from mine? So clear, here I tell them how different it is, but here I put the evidence of each paper and how different it is. So I hope you can pick that up as well. And suggest reviewers, like I told you, reviews if possible, not within UiTM, not within Malaysia, unless they are the experts in the field. And that's how it is lah. So once you submitted already, it is like this. People are just waiting there, you know, with your parang and whatever, you know, to whack you. But it's good. It's free, like I told you, it's free feedback. I don't want to go through this. Yeah, the following problem appears too frequently. Submission of papers which are clearly out of scope, failure to format, inappropriate suggested reviewers. So every part is important, kan? So carefully study the comments and prepare a detailed letter of response. Now, if you need to resubmit at this stage, kan, resubmit revision, ingat tak, maybe it's a major revision. Now, what I always do is, oh, I got a very good one actually. Never mind, I'll just show you this, and then later maybe I'll show you, or maybe I'll just show you. This is how I respond to reviewers, okay? So I actually put point by point, you know, reviewers' comments, authors' response. I put everything. It's not easy. So you think writing paper, it's not easy, but I enjoy it, okay? It's nice. So exactly, you know, and then sometimes I even put why, because sometimes I don't want to follow what the reviewer suggests, or, you know, I say that, why do I say it's like this? I put a reference, okay? And they accept it. Don't be worried whether they accept it. I will put why I think that, you know, I don't want to change this, but usually I change, unless it's really, sometimes they cannot understand what you're trying to say. So I put in references actually. So if you see, and you see, this is my reviewer's comment, and it is like, this is the, sorry, revision. And can you see, this is not the paper, this is just a letter to the reviewer. So it's very long. It's very long. Can you see? So just enjoy that process. Some will say it's too much, but write it properly. Okay, what is the detail? What is the reviewer's comment? What is your comment? Author's response. Now, a second review of the revised manuscript is common. So don't think that, oh, big major revision, I dah biasa. Now, cherish the chance. Okay, it's a chance, kan, of discussing your work directly with other scientists. So it's just not with your supervisor, but now you are actually discussing with other scientists. So please prepare a detailed letter of response. Cut and paste each comment, answer it directly. Do not miss the point. Okay. If rejected, don't just straight away take and submit to another journal. Don't. Always address what the previous journal says, what the editor says. Address the problem, because I'm sure there must be a reason. Unless they say, oh, it doesn't fall within the scope, that means it's not in the scope lah. Okay, you can send it to another journal. But if they say, hey, this one has got a problem, don't go and send to, you know, maybe you have to address that, you know. So send it out again after addressing it. Now, publishing ethics, I have to tell you this. You know, this is a Japanese stem cell scientist, for example, who actually committed suicide because he published in Nature. So it's really publish or perish, because people were not able to reproduce his work. So it's very important, whatever that we do, I said, we have to be accountable. We have to be ethical. So even, you know, like for us, we have got software check, right? So do that. So don't just, a lot of people's articles actually get retracted, because I myself, once the editor wrote, I don't know what journal editor wrote to me to say that, hey, you know, this person from China actually took what I already published and submitted that again. So it's not ethical, but I'm sure you all are fantastic people here and you will not do that. So be ethical. I just want to give you some time to ask questions. So a lot of retracted cases, but not here, I'm sure. So not to worry about this. Plagiarism is another thing that you, of course, IPSIS has been telling you many, many times that this is not an issue. Don't duplicate publication. If you have sent to one journal, wait until you got response. If you don't want to send to that journal, withdraw, then send. You cannot send to 2 journals at the same time, never. I guess that's about it. Okay, so what is important, students, is that you finish writing your paper with style. Okay, win. It's a game and you have to win. I think that's about it. I don't have anything, anything much. Okay, I'm done and thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Kala. So we have few questions here. So shall we proceed with the Q&A?
Can.
Okay. All right. The first one is, how many journals did you publish when you did your PhD? And Juliana here asking about, let's say you try to publish a journal to a publication you wanted, but you got rejected. Did you have a backup publication?
Dr. Mazwana, can I answer the first one first? Takut lupa.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the first one is on how many I published for my PhD. I published, that time tak ada pun, you have to publish before you graduate, but my training was to publish. So I published quite a number actually. Easily, when I was studying itself, easily about, I think it was about 3 to 4 papers, okay? And my first publication was 2003 or something like that. Okay, so the next question is, can I see the chat box? Oh, I can't see the chat box though. Sorry, Dr. Mazwana, so what's the next question?
The next question is, do you have backup when you got rejected in one publication that you want to publish, then you got rejected? Do you have a backup publication?
Honestly, I think it's like this. Now, like I told you, don't bang on one paper. Like you submit that paper and then wait only for this paper. You must have backup. Because for you, it's your timing. You know, graduate. My time, when I did my PhD, we didn't have all this rule, but it becomes tighter. So you have to have backup. At least if you're a master's, at least have 2 backup. And then for PhD, that's why I said, I don't have time because, I missed the first part, or else I can share with you. Even your literature review, I always ask my student to convert it to narrative review. I have the slides, but I can't share because of time. But your review, so once your review is done, send that out. Don't wait until your original article comes in. So I would say, to your question, please have backup. Because it's not of rejection, rejection, okay, once rejected, it comes back, then you have to wait another 3 to 6 months. So have backup lah. Like I told you, don't wait for one paper. It's very dangerous.
Okay, so next, a reviewer commented that running title could not contain the same word. Can you comment on that, Prof?
Writing title cannot contain the same word as your title. Is that the question? Okay, yeah. So yeah, I understand. Running title is basically, usually running title is something that is short. For example, if you have 15 words for your main title, your running title will be, sometimes within 6, half of it, okay? I don't know why did they comment like that, because there are certain points, honestly, that are very important even in your running title, okay? If I am working on probiotics, okay, and that's my main title, title in my main one, the 15 words, how can I miss probiotics in my running title? It's impossible. So it really depends, because if some words you just can't, you have to have, means you have to have it in your running title. But I think what the reviewer is trying to say is because usually running title has to be very short. So be careful of, it's not easy. You think that it's easy. Oh, I just write a running title. I wish you could give me a sample, then I can tell you. But running titles are very straightforward. You don't have to go and describe what your results are. Okay, it's just about what your project is.
Okay. Next question is, okay, wondering when you say from literature review, we can generate a lot of review papers. Is narrative review being looked into nowadays? And some researchers do not like as it's not an original article. How about that?
Okay, it's like this. A narrative review is basically a literature review. Okay, so that's what I do. And what we do at my lab is that we will take their literature review, convert it into a narrative review. And I know that a lot of people think that, oh, review papers are not, not important. But for me personally, I would think that original articles are, that is the main bread and butter of your PhD or your master's. Of course, original articles is, I mean, like when, example, if you publish 3 papers, okay, you've got 3 papers, and definitely your main high impact factor papers will be your original articles. You can't miss, or you can't go away from that, right? That has to be your bread and butter. But this is like an extra because you want to graduate on time, okay? And you are running, and I feel that don't waste your literature review. Use that literature review as a narrative review, because narrative reviews have high citations. You know why? Because when I am new in a subject, what do I read first? I read a review because I want to get a whole idea. So to me, reviews are important. I don't see it. Maybe it can be secondary, but it's not of low quality. Yeah? The quality is still high. It can be secondary in your publication list. That means your original articles are your main, your bread and butter. This is secondary, but reviews are powerful and are important. I wouldn't treat it as, low quality.
Okay, so a few students asking about working with an old data. So is it possible to get published using old data? Sometimes there's one case here, his publication being kept by the supervisor without any comment for about a year. So the data was obsolete, and then what can he do about that? So in summary, can we work working with the old data to get published?
This is a very tricky question because you see, old data, it really depends on how you repackage. Honestly speaking, I have got work from students who have graduated, because dulu my master student published one paper, and we have got, because she did 2 different kinds of she used different kinds of milk for the probiotic fermentation. So we published one, but we still have another one, goat's milk. It's not published yet, but I plan to publish it this year. And because I really think that the novelty is there. So it really depends. It's not about 1 year ago. I'm sure that there's something in that data that is novel. So this is something that you have to check. Like I told you, my student did goat's milk and cow's milk. I think I cannot remember. We published one, and we have still the other data. And I still think it's publishable because it's many years. I think this was 2000, I cannot remember, 12 or 13. But it's still there because I think it's still novel because we are using a different strain of probiotics. So you have to find what is the novelty there. If you really think that cannot, then at least put it in a proceeding, or you can't really put in a high impact factor journal. Like even my data that is very old, I can't put it in a very high, but I'll try for a Q2 maybe, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. One more. Okay. Hold on. Okay, I would like to ask if I have to find the most original proposal when citing a concept, which may be a very old paper, such as 1974. Will this have any effect on the publication of the article?
It's just a concept, because certain concepts, you really have to go back, to that particular old one. Unless there's something new that, you missed, then you are in trouble. But if that is really the original and you really have to go back to the basic concept, I don't think it's wrong. It's not wrong. But if you have something new and you miss that, then yeah, you've got a problem.
So how about, can you explain further on different things to write in results and discussion part?
Okay, for your results, it's very straightforward. I got only 5 minutes left in my meeting. If anything, I will get back in. I'll get in back. Okay, so for results, like I told you, results, you just describe what your results are. It's significantly higher, it's significantly lower. Okay, for your discussion, it's totally a different story. Now you are going to explain, why do you think that is significantly higher? What did previous studies say? And you know, you argue about, you know, why do you think you got it different, or why do you think, you know, yours is similar? Maybe you used you know, strains that are very similar, or things like that. That is a discussion. And like I told you earlier, you know, to make your discussion exciting, always how do I put it? Link all whatever that you have got. If you have got 5 parts in your 5 parts of major results, link them all and have a pathway. Have like an image that shows, you know, how, you have to discuss basically how is A related to B, C, D, E. Your 5 parts too. You can't just, you understand or not? Results, you explain one result A, B, C, D, E. But discussion is how do you get all these 5 together to make, to support your hypothesis. I hope that's why you know, my students can't escape doing a pathway at the end. They must conclude with that. I hope you can understand. That's why I showed my figures just now. Yeah.
Okay, how about how long before we decide to withdraw the article from publication?
You see, for me, I can play around. If it's my students' work, I can't wait for more than 6 months. I won't wait for more than 6 months.
So how long does it take to get published, including the peer review process and all, generally?
Okay, so you see, just now going back to that question also, which is also related to this one. You see, students, you can ask your supervisor to actually, nowadays, Xavier Scopus, you can chat online. So you can chat with the, not with the editor, but you can chat, there's somebody, a middle person like, who can tell you what is the problem. So they will get to the editor. So you can always go chat live online, and they are 24/7, I think, it's no problem. So if you think that, why is it taking long? Why is it taking long? Go and do live chat with the publishers. And this question, sorry, the second question was what the general time for publication, the whole peer review. It really depends where you send to. You see, like this journal, the BBB, Brain Research, whatever bulletin, it took me at least about 1 year because it was a major revision and then so sometimes it's good for that is my PhD students' work, okay? And it took me about we had to add more experiments. We had to add, and I didn't say. You see, we researchers, we are also learning, so we had to add a bit of experiment to make it a bit more complete. So we had to have 3 months for the rebuttal. So it took about 1 year all in all. So that's why I say start early. Don't wait until, you know, the end.
Okay, so I think that is all the questions that we have. We have 5 minutes left. So attendees, I've posted the attendance link in the chat box, in the Q&A box. So kindly fill in the form. Thank you so much, Prof. Kala, for your time, despite the problem we had.
No worries. I'm so sorry. I apologize again. Yeah.
No problem. Yeah, anything can happen. So it's okay. So perhaps we can invite you sometimes later again because you have a very interesting topic to share. So attendees, I remind you to fill in the attendance, and the certificate will be ready about a week from today. Okay, the recording will be available in IPSIS YouTube channel. Okay, so thank you again for your time. We have the most attendees, I think about an hour ago, about 255 attendees, Prof. It's very good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, Prof. And until then, till we meet again in another webinar series. So thank you so much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye. Thank you. Bye.